couldn't do both.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sora. How are you?
Good. Good afternoon,
Good.
sir. I'm good. Good. Thanks so much for
Okay.
having me.
I'm so glad you agreed to this first ever review of the ABCs of the IEP with my company, Project Love, which is leading others to a vibrant evolution. People,
Yes,
this
it's,
is
it's
my good,
only
my
right
new.
to be the it's only right to be the first. I'm so
You
happy to be
are,
on.
you are, you are. So if I can briefly explain how I know Nicole. Nicole is my sorority sister that I
Yes.
happened to meet going to Martha's Vineyard. Let me tell you, when you do new things, you meet new people. And she is wonderful. You'll come to hear that she's brilliant, extremely articulate, passionate, and with great purpose. She walks and talks and seems to live with great purpose. So it's my honor to have this inaugural live or recorded interview to elevate the awareness of special needs and how to understand the individual education plan or the IEP for everyday people who need it most. Would you like to say something, Nicole, while we get ready?
Yes, yes, it's such an honor to be on today. My name is Nicole Pierre Louis, and I'm out of North Jersey. So, really excited to share how I enjoyed the workshop and perhaps maybe even add a couple more tidbits in there as well, too.
I know you will. So let's give everyone some background on this workshop. This workshop is customized. I created it because I've been a 20, almost 21-year veteran with the child study team with the Newark Board of Education. And being working in Newark, being from Newark, I'm very much invested in the community, the people who are there. You know, they made me. And I went to an HBCU, a historical Black college or university, St. Augustine's in Raleigh, North Carolina. While I was there, I learned so much that one day I felt source saying to me, go back home. You have to teach. And I've been home ever since, you know, just teaching, but not in a classroom setting, but as a social worker because I care for people's hearts. Ever since I was a younger woman, I realized if the heart is not healed or at rest or in a comfortable place, it's hard to do anything. And so I went on a mission to connect hearts, connecting principals with teachers, teachers with parents, parents with their kids, kids with their teachers. And for everyone, it's been my goal to make sure there's an open door, open line of communication for all parties. And in my journey, I found that this IEP process is very difficult. It is a new language. It's a very intimidating language. And so I created this ABCs of the IEP as a homage to the books from the 80s and 90s, you know, like IEPs for dummies, you know, computers for dummies. There was the yellow books that you can get. And
Yes.
I said, I learned early on in my career, when you want to present, facilitate, you must make it simple. That's the message. Every time I was about to present, they say, make the message simple. And not that people are simple, it's just at a very high level technical language with a lot of laws wrapped around it. So here we go.
Mhm.
We made it simple. So I've been doing the workshop for a good 5 years now since quarantine. It is very popular. I do it a lot during the fall season because it's the beginning of the school season. At first, I had to help partners to know that this was the time between July and October is the time so that the parents, caregivers, teachers, whoever might come, because everyone comes. I get administrators,
Mhm.
community members, parents, old, young, preschool parents to high school parents to 18 to 21 parents. This is the time to come for a refresher for you to remind you of what you have, how important it is, how to interpret it, and now go and make relationships, if you haven't done so already, with the people in your new grade. Because when I'm in the 10th grade with my daughter, what grade are your kids in?
Yes, preschool and first grade.
I know. So you're in preschool and the first grade, and next year you'll be in
Yes,
kindergarten and second grade. We travel with our
absolutely.
children when you're really invested, you know. So I desire for all parents to be educated and to go and not challenge their case managers, their schools, but become a full partner. Go with your IEP in hand with written notes and become a full participant in your team because the parent is part of it. And then you can bring your community with you if you like, so you won't be alone. So let's get started. We did the workshop, which it was phenomenal, one of the best I've done in
Yes.
the whole time. And I was so inspired. I said, you know, we have to do a reaction. And Nicole
Mhm.
is just the person to do the reaction because Nicole, not only is she a professional in her own right. What's your profession, Nicole? I'm sorry.
Yes, I do early talent acquisition. So I do recruitment for those looking for internships and first full-time role out of college, and I specialize in technology recruitment.
Hello. She's an HR professional, so she has to speak
Yes.
with an elevated language. She has to have an elevated poise because of all the people she deals with, and then her higher ups, because I'm sure sometimes she has to convince them of who's worthy, or say, I don't think so, or the things in between.
Mm-hmm.
You are a keeper of the law as well. And so it
Yes.
comes across. So you would be the perfect person for us to have this discussion so that everyone else can hopefully understand clearly. So we're going to start with the survey part of it. I have this survey that I do for all my workshops. And I thought if we're going to do an interview, we might as well do it right from the survey, because remember,
Mm-hmm.
repetition, redundancy, using
Mm-hmm.
the same language is very important when creating and reinforcing your brand. So this is my brand, Project Love. No matter what class you take with me, you're going to get the same survey, but there'll be different answers because there's different workshops. So let's start with the first one. Nicole, how satisfied were you with this workshop?
Yes, I would say survey says 10 out of 10 recommend. I would say really what I appreciated about the workshop was the opportunity to learn in a safe space. I think a lot of time when parents think of IEPs, or if you even think of special education as a whole, it's so easy to get immersed in the minutia of alphabet soup, right? So you could be saying OT, ABA, ST. So, but then you really have to have a facilitator such as Love who's able to break it down for you. So, for example, OT is occupational therapy, ABA, applied behavioral, and you might have to help me out on this one. And
What ABA, applied behavioral, I forget what the other A is because I don't do it.
you
But
know
ABA
that's
is
okay.
for ABA. Hold on,
Yes,
ABA is the methodology used to assist with younger children who have
yes,
severe behavioral disorders. It might be
yes,
like cognitive behavioral therapy, but for
yes.
babies, because it's all about
Yes.
behaviors, repetition, and making sure the whole family system is doing the same thing. I know that part.
Precisely. Yes, yes. So ABA. So sometimes as a parent you may forget the acronym yourself, but nonetheless, I appreciated how Love was able to engage the participants, and also being able to just break it down. We started off building a foundation, and then from there, as a group, we were able to work our way up from there.
Well, it's ABA's applied behavioral analysis.
Analysis. I was right. I should have trusted my
Yeah,
gut.
you were. I didn't want to say
Yes.
anything wrong, but in that
Yes.
vein, I do something if especially with younger children and sometimes older. You get sometimes teachers might complain about a student, or a school system might complain about a student, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
the parent complains about a student. So I have a behavior tracking log that I got from a preschool teacher
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And it's so wonderful because it gives you a tracker you can track over a whole day or a whole week. And it asks you what time of day it is, what's the
Mm-hmm.
antecedent. I'm like, what is an
Mm-hmm.
antecedent?
Yes. Yes.
Antecedent is, this is a big part that no one ever wants to discuss, because then it points back to who was in charge of the child, right? The
Yes.
antecedent is what was going on at the time. What was the expectation of the
Mhm.
time that that child started to behave outside of what the other children were doing?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that is usually very telling. Sometimes it is the mismanagement of the classroom, and sometimes it's a factor that we can, that piece is what we can fix for the kid.
Yes.
So yes,
Yes.
ABA, some people disagree with ABA, but I understand it because I worked in it, and I understand,
Yes.
and I've seen it
Yes.
work for
Yes.
real,
It works.
you
It's
know.
it's working in my case. So, I'm happy for it for sure.
Wonderful. Let me get back to the questions. I had to go to my Google search, but let's get in there. So your next question is, and thank you for that. The next question is, was this workshop relevant to your needs, and or how? And how?
Yeah, 100%. So the workshop was definitely relevant to my needs. I do have two children that do have IEP, so it was super helpful in just understanding one. Let's say having children with special needs, having an IEP, understanding the menu of services, that from there you're able to create a buffet for your child. So let's say, for example, understanding what their classroom placement is, definitely really important from that perspective, right? If you have a youngster who is in preschool, is the class full day, is it half a day, right? Is it meeting their needs from that perspective? Then from there, understanding, another menu option you can put into your buffet is understanding the different therapies your child has, right? So in the beginning, first question, we started to talk a little bit of the alphabet soup of therapies. Is it that they need perhaps more OT? occupational therapy? Is it that they need speech therapy? Is it that they need feeding therapy, physical therapy, all, a combination of all the T's, right? So I think in this workshop, it helped me understand more, or just, or maybe just deepen my understanding, I would say, of the different kind of classroom placements a child could have. And then from there, how you're able to advocate for different therapy options for your child or children as well.
Mm-hmm. I crossed my fingers because I didn't want to forget. I like the way you use the term menu. It makes it
Mm-hmm.
real, it makes it tangible. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about. Doing the ABCs of the IEP is starting to use
Yes.
terms that are associated with the more technical term, but this is a way that an everyday person can understand it.
Yes.
And to say
Yes.
an IEP is like your menu of educational options for your child. Sticker,
Yes.
star, boom.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yes. That's
Illuminati,
it.
world premiere. That was
That's
I may have
it.
to use that one.
Clock it.
Right? Okay. I may have to use that one. And I
Yes.
is a menu of options of educational
Yes.
services for your child. I
Yes.
love that. Thank you. You are
Yes.
dropping so many jewels using terms that are very helpful. Very. I'm gonna get the
My
other one. The
pleasure.
alphabet soup. The alphabet soup. Oh my gosh. Brilliant,
Yes.
I tell you. Okay, next question. Was the workshop well organized? What do you think about the organization of it? How the thoughts
Yeah.
were put together?
Yeah, I definitely thought the workshop was well organized. I mean, for me, you could probably tell, right? I'm a person who likes a certain flow, a certain cadence, tempo, whatever it is from that perspective, right? So I think there is nice opportunities, one, for engagement, overall interaction with other participants, right? I really did appreciate, again, I think Love is a great presenter, right? So if you need someone to do a workshop, you should probably give her a call. Project Love, I'm
Didn't pay
sure
her for
she'd be,
that. I did not pay her for that, but yes.
I think she would
Thank
be
you.
great to definitely facilitate for you. Again, I think what I would just kind of double click on is, like, as a parent, as a caregiver, whoever, it's important to understand what you're advocating for and having the right tools to do so, right? So there was a point in the presentation where, Love had really great language of reimagining or repositioning how you engage with your school staff, right? So she used a term, and I have to look at my notes for it because I want to quote it correctly, is empathy for ignorance, right? So I think that was
I said
absolutely, yes,
that.
you did. You
It's
did.
true. It's
I
true.
had to
Yes.
write it down. I had to
Yes.
start, right? Because I think,
Yes.
a big part as a parent and caregiver is that, you may know what it is your child needs, but you may not have the correct language or nomenclature, and how you're able to articulate it for yourself. So I think, and I'm tying this into the organization, right? Because one, you have to be able to put yourself in spaces where you're able to learn more, be informed, get connected with other community members, whether it be, another parent, another caregiver who may be further on in their journey than you. But two, being able to tap in with a facilitator like Love. Three, I would say, if there's a community partner, perhaps there's several in the local North Jersey area that you can kind of get plugged into as well. These are just things that are so important, right? So being able to tap into your community so you have a stronger, one, sense of you're not in this alone. I think that's a big perspective.
Mhm.
And two, being able to talk to others to say, you know what, you may not know the language for, something, but this is perhaps how I would articulate it, right? So when you do go into your IEP review meetings, you have the correct language and positioning to be able to say, okay, child A needs additional OT to help from a gross motor perspective, right? Or perhaps they may need PT to help from a low body tone situation, right? So being able to say,
Mhm.
this is what is currently manifest or present in the child's mobility or whatever it is from that perspective, but talking to different individuals helps you go into your IEP meeting more articulate, and from there being able to advocate in a more succinct way.
I'm gonna recommend that you get a job with the child study team because you have fully embraced the mindset of how one must think. Now, I asked you one about the organization of it, but you said something about the community, right? But
Yes.
two things. Let me make that statement, and then I want to go back to the organization part.
Yes.
Community. I don't know where we'll get a chance to mention it, and I'm not sure if you're going to touch on it. But one of the biggest things I find, my parents live in isolation. The
Yes.
parents that I encounter, they all claim they have no friends. They're out of
Mhm.
relationship with their families, and it's just
Mhm.
them and the kids. That is so dangerous. Every
Mhm.
woman, every person needs to have a village attached to them. And we
Mhm.
know that in our urban communities or just anywhere,
Mhm.
growing up is very tough everywhere, and you don't
Mhm.
know yet uh, how to measure what friendship is, what
Mhm.
heart friends are, what associates are, what
Mhm.
friendships of exchange are. And so I
Mhm.
think that we have to start looking at friendship in a cyclical way. Friends are
Yes.
different, and you need friends for different things. And I think
Mhm.
most people have the idea of friendship. This is my best friend I've had since kindergarten.
Mhm.
And then what happens when you get in your 20s, you become a prisoner of the friendship because
Mhm.
it's all ugly. You treat each other horribly,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
feel stuck in the friendship and you don't allow yourself to grow and meet all these other wonderful people. And so
Mhm.
I urge parents, all parents, to do play dates, not at your house, at the
Mhm.
park,
Mhm. Mhm.
somewhere, Chuck E. Cheese, wherever the places you go these days,
Mhm.
and have a superficial friendship around the children
Mhm. Mhm.
so that when you need a carpool, when you do need an ear about, oh my God, Lisa looked like she broke her ankle. I can't get to the hospital. My
Mhm.
insurance is kind of lapsed. What should I do? Call my mommy friend. We were just talking about
Mhm.
insurance the other day
Yes.
because when you get together with mommy friends, all type of great things come about.
Yes.
And not every mommy friend is your vibration. If that's
Mhm.
not it, there'll be another one. So we have to stop cutting people off at the moment when we think, oh, that's not my vibe. Maybe it isn't, but look
Mhm.
for another one. It should not
Mhm.
start your acquisition, your
Mhm.
curation. We must
Mhm.
curate our
Yes.
social circles to fit what you want very selfishly. Everybody in your
Mhm.
social circle should revolve around you and your needs, wants, and
Mhm.
desires. People who
Yeah.
make you happy, people who
Yes.
support you, people who
Yes.
love you, people who will come give you a ride when you need it, people who will
Yes.
buy your child's popcorn when it's time to buy the popcorn.
Yes. No, it's
Those people
true.
you want. The people who are not doing that in your circle, they get
Mhm.
because that makes room for people who can help you, even if
Mhm.
if it's a phone call, a text when you need them, or just a bright smile. I
Mhm.
go on and on about this because I decided when my child was in preschool to curate a life because we were one of
Mhm.
those families that were small and had a lot of
Mhm.
broken relationships around. And that might be how you find yourself upon 30, 35, when you really become really
Mhm.
adult awakened. Hey, it
Yeah.
gets real serious
I
about
get you.
32.
I
You're
get
like,
you. I'm
whoa, wait a
36.
minute.
I get
What's
you. I feel
Hello,
that.
you're like, wait a minute, you're fully awakened. You start taking
Yes.
an assessment of everything and everyone around in your life. And sometimes, like, I don't like it. Or some people go,
Yes.
this is it, so I'm going to stay. And I'm so miserable with these people. Well, stop being miserable with
Mhm.
them people. It's not, you don't have to say, I don't like you, I'm miserable with you. You can just slowly,
Mhm.
know, fade away from those and then start picking up play dates and
Mhm.
little things that make you happy slowly before you let
Mhm.
people totally into your heart.
Mhm.
And the last thing I'll say about this, be the friend you want to see.
Yes. It's true.
Be the friend you want to see coming to you. So if
Mhm.
you are always the friend that you hope to see coming to you, then you'll meet the people who are those type of friends you want. I'm a whole witness. All right. And so,
Yes.
okay. Anyway, that's a
It's
tangent.
okay.
But
Well,
it's our
actually,
time. And I look
I'd
forward to
love to
posting
share
this.
a story if that's okay about kind of building community and all of that, if that's okay with you.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna post this later and let it ride. And
Okay.
hopefully people will
Okay.
enjoy this
Yes.
dialogue with two mature professional women talking
Yes.
about something they need to hear about and all the
Yeah.
in-between stuff. So go with the
Yeah.
in-between stuff. I'm listening
Okay.
with my big
Okay.
ears on. My big ear.
Sounds good. Well, I have two examples of kind of like how I was able to curate. Okay, one example, one example. I'm like scrambling of which one to pick. Okay, I'll share the example from a school setting. So as I mentioned, I do have two children. I've been the class parent for my older child since he was in preschool, and really why I decided to do that was one, I just needed to meet other parents, right? And being able to meet other parents who are in the classroom, outside of the classroom. So what I decided to do was join our home and school association, being able to attend the meetings, right? Being able to understand like how are they putting together programming for the school. But again, being able to be the class parent, I've been able to one, just share information back and forth with the other parents. Perhaps they're not able to attend the meetings or whatever the case is, but also it's been really nice of sharing of resources from that perspective of like, hey, does anybody know a good swimming class, right, for to be able to put my child in, or perhaps they're interested in tennis, soccer, and there's so many programs, and some of them are free of course. So being able to be the conduit to share that information back and forth, one, it helps the children, and two, it's like a good social connection from the parents as well too.
It absolutely is. And when you said it helps the children, how about it helps you to show children how to have friends?
Exactly.
It
Yes.
shows them how to ask for a play date. I used
Yes.
to tell my daughter, she's good now, but go ask them, get their parents'
Yes.
phone number for me. So my daughter has always been a part of
Yes.
her development. So she
Yes.
knows what it takes to develop a friendship. I need to get a phone number. I need to get that
Yes.
parent's phone number. I need to have a discussion with them. What do you want to do? Because I got to tell my mom because she's going to ask me.
Yes.
So I wasn't overly creating things when she was old enough to speak.
Hmm.
I made her a part of this building of friendship as well. And she's off to the races,
Yes.
has great friends. And the organizational part, this is something I always wanted to ask someone out loud. So
Hmm.
what I've noticed about my slide decks are graphic, they're fun.
Yeah.
I find
Yes.
3D figures, I have things spinning and sliding.
Yes.
But my counterparts who do facilitation, they usually have these dry beige things
Yeah.
with paragraphs and a few pictures. And I hear
Yes.
that this is what professionals are accepting of. As a
Okay.
professional, what is your view? You get the dry ones. You might even have to make the dry ones.
Yeah.
What do you think about my style? Is it for what we're doing? Could it start
Yes.
to cross over? What do you think? I think it should cross over. What do you think about the style
Yeah.
that I put
For
because it's in the content is within
yeah.
embedded in the style of the slide.
Right. Right. I think so. I'm a big believer of like you have to tell someone information kind of three times in order for them to understand it, right? So you could one, you could have it written on the slide. Two,
Mhm.
you as the facilitator can say it as well. And then three, is there a video or perhaps a different graphic that also illuminates the same message, right? So I think from a content development perspective, I think again, I would say 10 out of 10 judges give it, because you were able to do it from that perspective, right? So, just kind of in the opening, we first read what is an IEP, right? To be able to ground the participants to understand, okay, what are we even here to talk about? I think that's important from that perspective. But then from there, you were further able to build upon it. And then from there, highlighting for parents to know their rights, and the laws, the legislation that there is for special education. So I think content was great. I can touch on, some of the laws people should be informed about, but I wanted
Hold on.
to give it back to you.
What I'm gonna do is share the screen and just give
Yes.
the people an idea of what I'm
Okay.
talking about when I talk about my graphics. I mean, I'm so
Yes.
proud of this one right here. This is going here for a second. So
Yes.
as
Here
you
we
can
go.
see, yeah, so what is an IEP?
Mm-hmm.
When I just want to explain a little bit. So the what do you call it? The puzzle pieces at the bottom is a light bulb of
Mm-hmm.
thought of how we can illuminate how we think about special needs, right? And then we have
Mm-hmm.
a lady on the couch, she's looking up her facts. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this other lady here that's holding up the sign. Hey, this is important right here. And then
Mm-hmm.
I slide it because then I have the audience read it because when you read it for yourself, you reinforce. It
Mm-hmm.
also brings in the other members where they feel safe enough to engage as well. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people a little competitive. Well, I want to read next, you know. And so there you have it. And then if you notice that my slides are multicultural, I'm always using lots of color, changing my fonts. You see these pictures here? Can't you see yourself? See the boy? Isn't that your son? Somebody's son?
Somebody's son.
Reinforcement is a mom with her
Yes.
child. She's engaging with her teacher. You see a
Mm-hmm.
loving teacher engaging one to one with the child. And then this could
Mm-hmm.
be an IEP meeting. And like you said, this
Mm-hmm.
is the background that reinforces what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I invest a lot of time in my slide decks.
Yes.
I think they're
Yes.
as important as the content. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for
Mm-hmm.
that. Let's go on to the
Yeah,
next question.
you got it.
Um, it says rate the trainer's effectiveness. It's 1 to 5. How would you
Mm-hmm.
rate my effectiveness? And if you can just give some bullet things like what makes me
Mm-hmm.
effective. And when I say effective, does the knowledge stick? Is it sticking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Effective. I would definitely say five for sure. Right. I think again, a big thing is you are able to create psychological safety, right? So enable, people aren't going to engage in something that they feel threatened, right? They're not going to engage something where they feel, oh, you know what, I have a dumb question, whatever the case is. So being able, one, as a facilitator, to create an environment where people feel, comfortable enough of, I know a little bit to dabble, but I'm not, the subject matter expert here, right? But being able to put myself in a place where, love as a facilitator you are, that's me, right? Is great from that stance, right? I also think, again, like you did show the slides, so folks were able to have a little glimpse at that. So I think that's helpful. But there was one video in particular that I really liked, that helped kind of tie the thread, if you will, for me. You showed a video from Crip Camp. And I think for me, that really drove home how, people, one, as a parent caregiver, you can advocate, right? But then if you have a child or the person that you're caring for, they're then able to advocate for themselves. And it showed how people are able to advocate for the changes they want to see, right? I know that you also spoke a little bit about tapping into the movement, right? So there was a Washington crawl, that you had referenced as well throughout the presentation, and that kind of like fired me up, right? So it's why I say it fired me up. It's like you're able to give people a different lens of commonality of, what, this legislation was not passed that long ago, right? But how can you refamiliarize yourself, or one, even just familiarize yourself in the lane of advocacy you choose to play in, right? So as a parent, you may be in that direct lane, you're going to the IEP, but do you have a friend, an auntie, a cousin, whoever, a grandma who wants to pull up with you to the IEP meeting? Have at it, right? Because, as you showed in one of the graphics, some folks are sitting around a table, that could be anyone from their child study team. So it could be their case manager, it could be the teacher, it could be so many other individuals who are in that one meeting. And, you as a parent, you're one person. If you're a little bit intimidated, you could be, have somebody pull up with you, right? So there's all of this to say there's lanes of advocacy for everyone. So just like if you don't have a child with special needs, you could be the auntie, the uncle of the galaxy. You could be whoever, you name it, right? Pull
Yes.
up with your friend, and definitely support them in the way that they're able to, just get the appropriate supports the child needs as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Everything you say is
Mm-hmm.
just like diamonds, bombs drop. The best thing. I'm not paying her to say this. Because when we had a conversation beforehand, you just hit every message that I intended to send. You
Mm-hmm.
caught it. Like, you
Yes,
caught
caught
it.
it.
Like, exactly. And even the words I would use, and even better words than I would
Mm-hmm.
use to characterize what we're experiencing here. And this has been after 21 years of developing. And I started doing workshops with parents in about 2015. I worked on a preschool level.
Okay.
And I tell
Yes.
you, that year I did about 70 psychosocial assessments
Oh, that's a lot.
because autism was on the rise.
Yes.
It was like the epicenter at the time.
Yes.
I don't know what the
Yes.
numbers. I don't know what the numbers are now, but I don't want to look. That's how bad it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would get these parents with these horrific testimonials because you don't know what's going on from 18
Mm-hmm.
months to 3 years old. The
Mm-hmm.
child turns into this whole other thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I got to interview those parents where their faces went blank, and you can see
Mm-hmm.
them talking to you, but they're living in the memory.
Yeah, I get
One
that.
father said, the thing that bothers me most is that my child might never say daddy.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. I feel
And
that.
so because there were so
Yeah.
many telling me the same stories in these very in-depth forensic type interviews, I started my
Mm-hmm.
first group. It was a
Mm-hmm.
6 week group where I gave them a completion certificate, and they came every week. It was about 15 parents, and it changed
Mm-hmm.
their life, and it changed my life too. It
Mm-hmm.
showed me the power of the parent group. And so I took my training from the MSW, where MSW gives you a generalist for the most part. It's a group therapy, but you think about
Mm-hmm.
group therapy. Like it has to have a
Mm-hmm.
therapy attached to it, a therapy style attached to it. It has to be this way,
Mm-hmm.
it has to be that way. But doing that first group, it gave me the permission and the awareness that a group does not have to be any particular thing, because the main what I resonated on, what I learned, I'll never forget. The group becomes what it needs to be. You
Yes.
are the facilitator. You're there
Yes.
to hold the guardrails, but the
Yes.
people make the group into how it's supposed to go, because every group is different. And ever since I remember
Precisely.
that, after experiencing that group, it's been on and popping. I will have a group about anything. Let's do it right now. Who wants to get
Yes.
together? It could be a one time, it could be 6 weeks, it could be a year. I will hold space for you.
Mhm.
So thank you for that. You know, we go on these tangents, but this is good stuff.
Yes.
I wanted to do this because I never get a chance to show people these conversations that I have with
Mhm.
so many people behind the scenes. And as you saw, oh, this is the thing I wanted to say. Every parent, they may not have been an expert, but every parent is the expert of their child and their
Yes.
own experience.
There
So
you go.
as the workers, as case managers and clinicians, we must always remember that no matter how low the parent's language is, no matter if they know their
Mhm.
IEP, IUP, and they don't know
Mhm.
anything,
Mhm.
you must reinforce to the parent and build them up to say you are the child's
Yes.
expert and I can do little without you. Because the
Yes.
parents, like I say, they come to the meetings like it's Netflix. They come without a
Yeah.
notebook, they come
Ooh.
without any notes, they come late or from the
Oh,
dentist's office,
yikes.
you know. And
Okay.
I'm like, hey parent, there's no you, there's none of this without
Yeah.
you. You
Yeah.
know, and so I do as much as I can because as a case manager, you pull all the information and you put it in the
Right.
report. But if the parent doesn't bring any challenge to the information, then it goes in according to what everyone else thinks, not the parent. And on and on
Mhm.
and on. So this is why I want to publicize these conversations. So
Yes.
hopefully we can stimulate, ignite,
Yes.
motivate, you know, inspire a parent who's usually quiet and thinking it's the best thing to just the teacher, the school knows best. They can't know best without you ever. And
Right.
I've found in my walk, travel, study, my profession, children with IEPs grow best and faster and to play into heights you couldn't imagine with one parent or two parents, or definitely if the whole family system is invested in
Mhm.
following the steps that their educational team gives them, because you mirror them at
Mhm.
home. It's not just a
Mhm.
school thing. You don't fix
Mhm.
the kid at school. We have to do this together.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
parents who get that, their kids grow and are able to hold
Mhm.
jobs and a lot of times become vocal when they weren't, or they're able to
Mhm.
communicate in a more sophisticated way where they weren't. And
Mhm.
it happened with the Down syndrome population. You are
Mhm.
younger than me, but Down syndrome was the
Mhm.
first publicized disability that was all over TV.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I saw as a young, I was in my teens and I saw the progression to where they advocacy like they're everyone else. They should be included. They should be in general ed
Mhm.
classrooms. That was a big, oh, on the news. There's a Down syndrome. Tommy Tim went to regional
Mm.
and he's with his peers and he sounds happy. You see, Tommy Tim, his voice might be different from anybody's, but he'll say, I'm
Mhm.
happy to be here. I'm happy to be with my peers.
Sure.
Those kids start driving cars. Those kids
Yes.
start becoming models. Those kids start living on
Yes.
their own. One of
Yes.
my coworkers, her daughter has an apartment, a couple of houses down, or somewhere in the
Yes.
neighborhood. You know, they
Yes.
have grown because they were put into inclusive settings because their
Yes.
parents fought for them to live and be a true full member of society. Same thing can happen
Mhm.
with autistic, most autistic children. I don't want to,
Mhm.
hurt some parents whose children cannot grow. And then what
Mhm.
happens also, I'll say it here because I can't say it to everybody, but everybody will hear it.
Yes.
There's a guilt and a shame that
Mhm.
interferes with the child's growth.
Yes.
Because sometimes, many times, when I try to give this information to parents who are not ready or who are very ashamed of it, they become
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
defensive. It's
Mhm.
very is how can I say, it's obvious to me because I do the work.
Mhm.
And when I
Mhm.
try to push in, they snap me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your child's not going to grow like that.
Right. Right.
Somehow you can talk to me one on one and tell me how ashamed you feel, how
Mhm.
disappointed you are that your child's not perfect, how disappointed that
Mhm.
your child will never be able to go to the dance and do their own hair
Mhm.
or whatever, things like that.
Mhm.
Let's
Mhm.
get it
Mhm.
out. Let's put it on the table. I'm a stranger. Let's talk
Mhm.
about it. Because once you
Mhm.
get out your shame and embarrassment, then your child
Mhm.
can grow beyond what you thought. But if you hold on
Mhm.
to it, and it's
Mhm.
only,
Mhm.
I only have two people to watch my kid. That's it. I don't trust somebody else.
Mhm. Mhm.
Have you heard of the
Mhm.
respite program with the New Jersey Arc? Newark, New Jersey. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
No, they haven't
Yeah.
heard of anything
Mhm.
because they're holding on. But
Yes.
when you start to venture out, and you do have to go with the child, you do have to do the research.
Mhm.
But again, myself, people like Nadine, hopefully we get
Mhm.
Nicole to be a volunteer soon because she's so good. So she's like, okay, but you can always find someone to go with you. So I have a kid that needs to
Yes.
transfer it. Mom went in out of district. I'm like, she's not severely disabled, but there's a safety thing. That baby is not cut out for Newark. Okay, she's a different kind of kid. I'm like, "Ma, you need to move."
Mhm.
But if not,
Mhm.
I want you to look for your own schools within the Newark community and find it. I will come
Mhm.
with you to
Mhm.
interview their special education professional to ensure that they have the program that your child needs. So that is a
Mhm.
service of the your case manager to go with you when it's time to consider another school to help you
Mhm.
decide. But it's not for the school to give you the school will give you the options. My supervisor will
Mhm.
say, give them options, give them options. I want to be the third option. I want
Mm-hmm.
you to go talk to your network of people. Open up
Mm-hmm.
dialogue. Put it on your
Yes.
Facebook page. Do
Yeah.
something
It's true.
because then now you're invested in the decision
Yes.
made for your child rather than saying that school
Yes.
not doing right. Always blame,
Right.
blame, blame, blame the school. But the largest pink elephant in the room is the lack of community and parent
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, involvement. Look, too
Mm-hmm.
much. I'm gonna stop talking about that because
Yes, okay.
the
It's
spirit told
okay.
me to stop.
It's okay. Well, I had a comment just on that because it definitely resonated with me for sure, right? So you had mentioned guilt and shame as you were just kind of opening up that piece, right? And I think as parents, you definitely parents, caregiver, whoever, right? You have to get rid of that. You have to break it down. You
Yeah.
have to be able to speak your truth, know your truth, and then be able to move on from that. But I also think it's really important that you do have a level of transparency, even if it's just your close circle, right? Of saying, you know what, hey, so and so was up all night. I didn't sleep. Or perhaps we went out to the grocery store. They ran up through the entire grocery store and I had to escort him or her out. It was a terrible experience. 0 stars, would not recommend, right? So whatever the case is, like you have to really be able to name your truth and be able
Put
to
some
do
humor
it.
on it. I like I said, zero
Yeah,
stars. Like put
zero
some humor on
stars,
it. Like I know the whole
you know?
grocery store was
Yeah.
looking at me crazy, but I don't care.
Yes, it
And
happens.
yeah,
It
it can happen
happens.
to a typically developing child could run through the store
It
as well.
happens.
But
It
anything,
happens.
and here's another thing that people don't
Yes.
look at. Is it that your child, is it their disability that they're behaving this way, or is it
Yes.
developmental?
Yes.
So
It's
sometimes
true.
parents get so paranoid about every
It's true.
behavior, they think
It's true.
it's the behavior of the
Yes.
disability when it's like,
It's
they're
not.
just being
It's
three,
not.
they're just being 12, you gotta,
It's true.
but it gives you double to think about. I know it is
Yes.
not easy,
Yes.
but just know there are people here who understand this
A
for
hundred
you.
percent.
So you don't have
Yes.
to figure, that's the thing. Stop trying to figure the whole thing out. You're recreating the wheel
Yes.
all the time
Right. You
rather than
don't have
going to,
to.
and
Mm-mm.
if you don't know who to talk to, go to your case manager. And some
Mm-hmm.
people say things like, I'm starting to become kind of suspicious of this exchange. Talk to your case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that person don't do anything. Well, last one we just spoke 5 minutes ago, you didn't know your child's disabling condition. So I don't know
Okay.
who doesn't know
Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
let's start over. Let's hit the reset button and go make an
Right.
appointment. Don't roll up on your case manager. I want to speak to my case manager. See, they're not even available. Just a setup for yourself.
Right.
Ask for at
Right.
least a 30-minute meeting of isolated time to sit down in their
Mm-hmm.
office, or if they're in a group setting, say, do you have a separate office where we can speak confidentially? You have every
Mm-hmm.
right to say that.
Mm-hmm.
We will be happy to meet with you. You bring your IEP document and get to it. Start asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go into the next thing because we can talk about this like every
Yes.
section.
Yes.
Because I think we're on the last two questions, but they're
Okay.
big ones. What was
Okay.
the concept? And I'm going to give you, probably going to have more than one. I'm giving you only
Okay.
up to two. Okay.
Okay.
What
Okay.
concept? Only because I don't want to make it too long.
It's
What
okay.
concept was excuse me, what concept was most value to you? What concept was of most value to you?
What concept? Okay. Um,
I gotta fix that.
okay. What concept do you want me to talk about, kind of like the competencies, like the self-awareness, self-management, like that from that
Whatever,
perspective?
because every slide had subject, right?
Yeah.
So which one of the sub subjects was of most significance to you? Like that was a
Yeah.
good one. I'm glad.
Yeah. It's hard to say, to be honest with you, because I feel like I got a lot from the workshop, right? So I mean, I think the thing I would underpin is that you were able, kind of each concept, if you will, it tied a thread in the whole process, right? So one, the overarching umbrella of IEP, and then from there each material you were able to present kind of build upon it, right? So
Mhm.
for example, I did appreciate when you kind of broke down Americans Disability Act and ADA, right? I did also appreciate when you highlighted the Individuals with Disability Education Act, or IDEA. So I think for me, I think maybe it's the legislative part of it, right? Because I think, we're in
Mhm.
a climate right now where it's
Mhm.
really important that you know what you're entitled to from a rights perspective. So perhaps
Mhm.
I would say maybe it was the legislative portion that is a concept that I really appreciated.
I'm glad you brought that up because we must know that these are federal laws. Because
Yes.
depending on your township, your county, or your state,
Yes.
some educational systems make their employees and their parents think that the
Yes.
IEP laws are according to their district or their
Yes.
state.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
no, this is federal. It's the same from Maine to California to Alaska
Mhm.
to the American Isles and things like that. We all have the same
Mhm.
IEP system. We all have the same
Mhm.
components, and we all observe the same 14 disabling conditions. The IEPs
Mhm.
look different, but they're all the same, and we should all be operating using the same language and the same, basic components that we have to hit. There's a code on
Mhm.
special education that you can find, the New Jersey Code on Special Education, the California Code on Special
Mhm.
Education, the federal code on special education. I don't know why they
Mhm.
have so many. It should be one from the federal. We all just abide, because what they
Right.
do is they kind of like change the language to make it fit their
Right.
area or something. But
Right.
it's the same stuff. But just know there's a statewide code on special education. It has
Mhm.
subtitles that you can highlight. If anyone needs it, you can contact me. I can give you a actual paper one. I like the paper, not online, because I
Mhm.
highlight it, I roll it back, I
Yes.
put tabs on it. I'm still
Mhm.
learning the document myself. So thank you for bringing it up, because knowing this is a federal law and that you are
Mhm.
protected, it's not how you
Yes.
feel. Because a lot of parents
Mhm.
say, I feel. Let's say this is what the law says.
Yeah. You
Get
have to be
more.
grounded in fact,
Yeah, this is what
not
the law says.
yeah.
Okay. So the next one, the last two, the next one is what were the strengths of the presentation? I'll give you three. What were the strengths if you have?
Um Strength, I'm like, oh man, I feel like this this whole thing I said the strength.
I know we've spoken about a lot already. Try to
Yeah.
think of something we
Yeah.
haven't spoken about
Okay.
already.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I illuminated this a little bit, but I think one, it wasn't like a one to one. It wasn't just loving myself in the workshop, right? I definitely appreciated that there were others in the session as well, and I appreciated that they also were open to dialogue too, because a lot of it, it's like, it could have just been love, right? And she could have just been, okay, slide one, slide two, slide three, slide four, right? And I just would have been like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot to kind of take in, right? But I appreciate one, how she paused to say, any questions, to open it up for a back and forth dialogue. And I think too, it's like when you go to something of this nature, when other participants also kind of add their voice to the mix, it also helps you. So, you know what, actually, that was a question I had, or perhaps that was a thought in the back of my mind. It just helps to build upon, the foundation that kind of you're
Overall
here to
understanding. Yes.
learn,
Overall
learn
understanding.
some
Yes.
more. Yes. So I would say that's a
Mhm.
threat. So I won't give you three, but that's my answer on
Okay,
that
great.
one.
I'm glad that you stopped there, because I started applying for bids where I could provide my
Mm-hmm.
service or do presentations. So I'm a babe in
Mm-hmm.
that. And there was a question about what style do I use? And I'm like, what style
Okay.
do I use? So I looked it up, and so I use conversation-based learning, right?
There you go.
And so I looked up, I
Yes.
found some studies, and
Yes.
I found that it is a legitimate style of
Mm-hmm.
learning. I know that a lady named what's her name? Abraham Hicks, she uses this
Mm-hmm.
style. Oprah Winfrey uses this style,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
When you don't just talk at people, you give them an
Yes.
opportunity to have a dialogue, and you sit
Yes.
down and you talk to the person. So if we weren't, it's one to one on Zoom, right? But even if I were in
Yes.
person, once I find that a person has an issue, I would sit down, pull a chair to them, and have a one to
Yes.
one conversation, eye to eye, and let everyone observe it. That
Yes.
also builds confidence in the room. That helps people
Yes.
feel like, well, I can talk too. And it helps
Yes.
that person to finally feel seen, that someone's going to listen to my full
Yes.
story. And I listen as
Yes.
long as I can. Usually they can wrap it up. Sometimes I'll help them wrap it up if they've made the point. But I do give
Mm-hmm.
them at least a minute and a half to tell me
Mm-hmm.
all about it. And I'll lean in like
Mm-hmm.
this. Yeah, that was bad. Don't we
Yeah.
need that? And
We need
so
it.
I love that style. It has become natural to me. But what I do despise is when I'm in workshops and people say, hold your questions
Mm-hmm.
to the end,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think that ego makes them talk all the way until like 3 minutes
Yeah.
before the end. Now
Yeah.
what? I mean, but like,
Yeah.
how effective were you
Yeah.
when you didn't keep your own time to at least leave 10 to 15 minutes? Or after every slide, allow people to just talk,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but conversations are built into my workshop. After
Yes.
every component, I say, what are your thoughts about it? Has anyone ever had
Mm-hmm.
this experience or something like it? You pull people from the
Yes.
shallows of their own souls,
Yes.
to talk, to
Yes.
have the conversation. And so I would
Mm-hmm.
challenge all speakers to say, stop doing that. It's too stale. You're checking the box. You're not really learning. You're
Mm-hmm.
getting through the workshop. But the best presenters I've seen all around who are the most engaging are the ones who can handle an ongoing dialogue.
Yes. Yes.
If you don't want to have an ongoing dialogue, do a recording and send it in. But
Mm-hmm.
the way that consciousness is rising, people are hungry for
Yes.
discourse,
Yes.
actual
Yes.
discourse.
Yes. It's
Look up the
important.
word. That's another
Yes.
word.
Yes. I like
Okay.
that.
Yes, I'm going to end on that tip. So earlier, I didn't ask you this question, but questions were encouraged. So that was the part of it. One of
Yes.
my survey questions, do were questions encouraged? Yes, they were. After
Yes.
every bullet, I say,
Yes.
come on, and I'll call people out, because I'll give a tell them in the beginning with the introduction, everyone will have a time to speak. If you think you're
Mm-hmm.
going to sit in the back and be quiet, the back of the Zoom or the back of my room, I'm going to
Yes.
call on you and I'm going to pull you out gently. But I don't like to let any person sit there quietly, because usually it's because they have a little
Mm-hmm.
fear of public speaking. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
usually when they try to speak, the facilitator is usually rude and not
Mm-hmm.
nurturing. So I make
Mm-hmm.
it a point to nurture
Mm-hmm.
that the back of the classroom person, the person who wouldn't
Yes.
usually say anything. I get closer. It's okay. Come on, tell us whatever you want.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
And they could be
Yes.
50, 100 years old. They still love the love tap.
Mm-hmm.
No pun
There
intended,
you
but all
go.
puns intended.
I
They
like
love the
it.
love tap. And so I tap everyone. Like, no, I've been in so many places in my life. Source has allowed me to see all kind of pain, all kind of little pieces that most people miss with other
Mm-hmm.
humans, and leave people lacking, wanting, feeling less than or not appreciated. And so we
Mm-hmm.
must not let those pieces go by. You'll say, it's not my
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. If you saw it, it is your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Go
Mm-hmm.
over and put your arm around the person. Hey, how's it going? I see you. Have you
Mm-hmm.
been here before? Oh, it's your first time
Mm-hmm.
coming? Oh, maybe not your arm around them because some people are touchy, but say, hey, say hello to people who are
Yes.
alone. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the last questions, were there any weaknesses to the workshop?
No, I don't think so, right? I mean, for me, I came to learn and kind of being able just being open, right? I mean,
Mhm.
if there's anything, hey, maybe should there be in maybe a reminder before the session, please come with questions, please,
Okay.
or please
Notebook. Yeah.
come with a notebook, come with a
Bring your
some
IEP. You bring your
you bring
IEP.
your
Yes.
IEP,
I can say that.
maybe I think maybe that because I think a lot of people were just like, oh, have I looked at the IEP in a little bit,
Nope.
right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I mean, I think maybe if there's like a pre um session message that goes out of like,
I like that. Like
this
a
is
checklist of
this,
things to consider as you
yeah,
prepare. Like sometimes you
yes,
have to have a book, but I can just put a checklist,
precisely.
have your IEP,
Yeah,
bring your questions, have a notebook.
yeah.
I like that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yes, yes. So not the session itself, but maybe some pre-work just so people can get garner the most out of it, I would say.
I love the idea of it. I'm glad you mentioned that, because we touched on earlier, is some
Mhm,
parents are they might be a year or two, three more in, and they do not know what the acronym IEP stands for, which is the
mhm,
Individual Education Plan. That is a full plan for your whole school year for all your child's education team at the school. There's a part for
mhm.
everyone. And then you remember that one parent who was very much into it, start going to all the classes, but it
Yes,
wasn't until my workshop that she realized she had to look at the goals and how to
yes,
utilize the goals. So just for you all who
yes,
are not there,
yes,
on
yes.
your child's goal page, you should be taking that to your IEP. You should highlight the goals and ask your case manager or the team, has my child achieved this goal? How close are
Mhm,
they to it? Or do we need to adjust this goal because it's something they're not ever going to reach, or it was too
mhm,
easy? Because honestly, as a social worker, I can't adjust the goals in the way that they're most
mhm,
meaningful. I can give a bland one if
mhm,
I don't get them from the teacher, or the school
mhm,
system does not make it important to have the goals updated. Then what are we doing?
mhm.
What
Yeah,
are we doing?
I hear
So
you.
as a parent, we need someone to hold us all accountable, and just open up the goal page. It's usually page 8 or 9 with the Newark IEPs. And bring it, highlight it and bring it, and not as an accusation. I got the goals. You're supposed to be doing this here. No, 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 no. You say, hey, I want to review the goals. Would that be okay at the meeting? Should I send questions ahead of time? Or
Mhm,
maybe you want to have an in-between meeting. Here's the
mhm,
thing before we go. Another big question was,
mhm.
several parents were, why can't I get an IEP meeting before the year? A year is way too long for us to consider
Right.
my child's growth.
Mhm.
Ooh, I'm glad you asked it. So usually that question is asked with lots of attitude. That question is asked with suspicion, like your school is trying to not serve you and your child. So
Mhm.
let me explain that, and then we'll be ending. It was
Okay.
a good one because it's a very sensitive piece. Your child study team, your case manager is not trying to avoid meeting with you for a whole IEP meeting 3 minutes after you did the last IEP meeting, 3 months after, or whatever, a month after, because you don't need a whole IEP meeting. What you want is an IEP review. You want to look at your goals and say, how is my child doing? You want to check all the staff members. Is there a speech person who's certified? Is there an OT person certified? Is it a substitute, or is this a certified special needs teacher? If my child's supposed to have LDM, are they in MD? Did you put them in LDM because the MD was coming? Did the MD come yet? Because there's a lot of promises made sometimes, but you can get upset if they don't get filled. But about 2 months in, you might want to say, check down the list. Are these people certified? And they say yes, great. You also can ask for a scheduled visit. You like to observe, maybe just look in the classroom or during a prep or something. I want to shake the teacher's hand. I want to look at my parent in the eye. I want to just glance at the OT person. Hey, Miss Sarah, why not? I personally, knowing all this, when I put my child in school, it broke my heart that I had to leave her in school with all these strangers all day. So I would pop in like you. I was the class mom. I bring them cupcakes for a good party. Hey, everybody. At the aftercare program, when I went to pick her up, I wouldn't run out of there. I would sit down and look. Hey, Mr. Such and Such. Oh, you're new? Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the after school program, you new person, right? Keep
That's
your
a
eyes on the
fact.
new person.
That's a
Oh,
fact.
wow, where's the old person? What happened here? Oh, you sure it was drama. Oh, yeah. Oh, we can't talk about that. Why can't you talk about it? Hello, after school program. You wouldn't know these things if you
Right,
not.
right.
So it shouldn't be aha when you find out. You shouldn't find out on the news.
Mm-mm.
You
Let's
shouldn't
hope
find it out
not.
because someone else
Right.
told you, or your child tells you, Miss Sarah hasn't been to school in a while. I miss her. What do you mean, Miss Sarah? Because
Mm-hmm.
it is very difficult for school officials to call parents every time there's a lapse in staffing or there's
Mm-hmm.
something going on. Everyone's moving like a big old train all day. So to
Mm-hmm.
be a
Mm-hmm.
full partner, just check in. You don't need a whole IEP
Mm-hmm.
meeting. And there's something called an amendment. So if you say this, my child has a shared aid with up to 5 other children. My child needs only two. Can you do a 2 to 1? Wait, a 1 to 2. Yeah, 1 aid, 2 children. You can do that after it's shown that it's not working. Whatever's not working, you can go in 3 months. Why don't you do every three
Mm-hmm.
months? But
Mm-hmm.
that's a parental responsibility and not an accusation. Like I want a whole IEP meeting. So do you know what you're asking for? You want us to spend all the time to do the full meeting protocol, which we have to do and give 2 weeks notice to everyone. We have to invite all the teachers. The teachers will have to prepare. Administrative might have to come. OT, PT, speech might have to. It is not necessary. Everyone can send their report, whatever you're most interested in. They can send a report and we can have a smaller discussion. But you can craft these smaller discussions. It's not an accusation. No one's trying to keep everything from you. Please come to us and learn what to do rather than being overly suspicious that we're not doing what's right. I must admit, oftentimes, a lot of times, child studies teams may not do what's right. Is it because they don't want to? No, because we don't have enough parental interaction. So we wind up just running things like a machine. And sometimes some of us forget that there are a couple of parents who are really good and are showing up. But you just treat everybody all the same. That's a personality thing. I'm sorry that happens to you, but you can interrupt that by being more of a partner to even that person. So that was a lot. We've been on for about an hour, but I think it was really hearty. Do you have any closing thoughts about what we've done here?
Yeah, well, no, I appreciate you for having me. I'm really excited. I think we started off as a review, but we got some nuggets and such in between. If there was something I would kind of just leave those tuning into this is that you're your child's best advocate. So lead into that, right? If you have shame, if you have guilt, you kind of have to put that to the side and be able to add your voice to the mix, because when there is a forum of just inclusive voices, you're able to enact change. It could be you sharing your story, it could impact how other families navigate the beginning of a diagnosis, how they show up to get their initial evaluations for placement and all of that. Or it could even just be being a friend to someone who's going to an IEP meeting. So there's a lot of ways for folks to kind of tap in, get engaged. You know, I think there's a good opportunity, whether you're a friend, a caregiver, you're part of the extended village community, definitely just do your part and add your voice to the mix.
I don't have anything else. I think you said it all. I mean, I love your style. I just love to hear you speak. I can just hear you speak all the time. I want to invite you more. I think we should do these more often about various things because we've already found that we have so many things in common that we like to discuss. So I want to thank
Yes.
you, Nicole, my soror, Nicole Pierre. Is it hyphenated?
Pierre Louis. Yes.
I want to get the whole thing. Nicole Pierre Louis. Everyone clap at home for
Thank
her
you.
ability to grasp this information, her courage to come online with me. Give me a hand to have the courage to do
Yes.
this for the first time. And I just want to
Yes.
thank you all for watching. Please contact me on Facebook. You can find me on the internet on with Project Love SEL. Google that and you'll see my website. You'll find all my social media handles. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook and TikTok, you know. I try to keep everything clean and educational. So, but if you need a consultation, please contact me and we can start a discussion. If you would like for me to come and bring a presentation to your group, church group, private group, parent group, organization, Fortune 500 company, I'll be there for you. And I'm looking forward to growing the business, but more so growing, normalizing this discussion so we all can help the children and keep them in our community in inclusive situations so we can maximize their growth because it is possible. And on that,
Yes.
thank you all.